I found myself walking on eggshells in the group dynamic because if I had a valid concern about business and I brought it up, for one, I knew that Natasha was going to agree when we spoke personally, but I knew she wasn't going to have my back in front of Andrew. And if she didn't have my back, then that made him continue to feel like I was tripping. And then it became a gang up. And I would tell Natasha about how scared I was to even voice my concerns about business and that I was walking on eggshells. And she would empathize with me and she would agree. And she was like, I don't like it either. Sometimes after I would get into it with Andrew, Natasha would call me and be like, I'm so sorry. I felt so bad. And sometimes I'd be crying because it's like I'm in business. I've signed a contract. So I have to put up with this because I have my own vested interest in this business. And so it's a sacrifice. For me, it was a sacrifice. I can deal with this for right now because the payoff, the reward is going to be great. But it wasn't just the janky business. I did not feel respected in our partnership. And I was really starting to have issues with Natasha doing that flaky stuff. And not only that, but Natasha's family doesn't like me because of my spirituality. And I've never really met them. So they wouldn't have any way to know other than the fact that she always volunteered my personal information to them. And I would beg her, Natasha, please stop discussing my personal business with your family because they talk so negatively about me. Gossip is a form of witchcraft. I do a lot of protection work on myself. I do a lot of spiritual work. So I already need to be protected. What I don't need is your family throwing bad juju on me because they're talking so negatively about me. They've said some of the most disgusting things about me, and I've never as much as shaken their hand. I might have seen them in passing, but I've never met her family like that. Never wanted to because they're disgusting people. They're disgusting with the way they judge people. They were disgusted with the way they treated her. They said the most disgusting things about me, not knowing my heart and my soul. And I would beg her, please stop creating more bad juju for me. If you're not talking about my personal business with people who don't like me, then they won't talk about me. Stop talking about me to them. But when it came to her family, Natasha was very weak. And whenever they would go in at her about some failure or something that they perceived, because they didn't believe in her at real estate, they wanted her to get a real job. They treated her like she was a failure. When they would have her back against the wall, for some reason, she would use me. I would be her weapon to get back at them and to use them, maybe to deflect some of the harshness that they were giving to her. But in turn, they were always saying some of the most nasty things about me. And I had a real big issue with that because I didn't like how she would weaponize me. I'm not your weapon. I'm not your defense mechanism. So leave me out of it and find your own way to deal with your family that doesn't involve me. Because if they keep yapping, I'm going to have to juju them. I'm going to have to bind them and keep them from speaking about me because they're throwing bad juju on me. And I did eventually bind their ass. And then their animals start dying. And then they start to blame Natasha and me for doing witchcraft. But they never thought, touch not a hair on my anointed. And that's what they were doing. They didn't think about that part. They didn't think that I was God's anointed. They thought that and they would tell Natasha that I was going to ruin her life and that every negative thing that happened, even at their house with their own animals. I don't live there. But it was me. It was me. It was me. And then I would hear, Natasha would be on the phone with her sister on speakerphone. And then it was this one time where her sister was like, yeah, and the other day when we got into it about Dina and Oscar, Natasha took that phone off speakerphone so quick and walked out of the room so quick so I couldn't hear the fact that their family had gotten into this big argument about me. Because somebody lied and said that I asked Natasha's brother if I can do a reading on him. I ain't never met Natasha's brother. I only know his name. He had just gotten out of prison. I ain't never met that man. I couldn't tell you what he looks like. He's never met me. He's only heard of me through Natasha. He might have saw me at her house, maybe in passing, but I've never met him. Never met him. I've seen him because him and Natasha's dad would come and, do stuff in the fields with the animals, and then they leave. But I ain't never wanted to meet Natasha's family. I don't like them people. I don't like nobody who don't like me. And I didn't like them for the way they treated her and the way they treat other people who they deem as less than them. Very judgmental, dogmatic Christians. Not good people. And y'all know I don't solicit my services, not even on here. So when they said that, I was like, who lied on me? They are having family fallouts based on lies about me. I was so hurt. And I was hurt that Natasha was so quick to get up out of that room so I couldn't hear the rest of the conversation. I was hurt because I've asked you to stop talking about my personal business to people who don't like me. Why are y'all discussing my spirituality at your house? Who said I tried to ask her brother to do a reading on him? If he had paid me, I might not have did a reading on him because he's Natasha's family. I stopped doing readings for Natasha. I told Natasha I wasn't doing no more readings for her for free. She knew this. We were still friends when I told her that. No more juju, no more readings for you unless you pay me like everybody else. Because Natasha would get readings from me and wouldn't heed nothing. She would get juju from me and go back to the same habits. My spirits told me to stop. She has to be a client like everybody else. Broke my heart having to do that. So she would also say things like she wanted to be me. Natasha wanted me to make her my apprentice and teach her the juju. She wanted the power that I have. And I didn't see that as a red flag when she said, I want to be just like you. I want what you have. My first thought wasn't to see that as a red flag. My first thought was to tell her, no, don't covet. Don't covet my gift. You don't know what I have to go through. You don't know what kind of burden this comes with. You see, I don't know if she saw the lights. I don't know if she saw this, what I do with you guys here, as some kind of fame and glory. The impact that maybe I make on you guys' life and the love I receive back from you because of the services I provide for you. I think she saw that as glory and fame. I don't see it that way. Because you don't know what I go through to be able to serve you all like this. So I always told her, you don't want this. You don't want it. You don't want this. And never covet it. Never covet. And I told her I'm nobody's teacher. But I'll let you watch and you can learn that way. I even pulled cards to see if I was supposed to teach her. No. Spirit said, it ain't for you to do in this life. It's for you to see. I didn't know all this time that Natasha was looking at me, coveting. She started to dress up more after hanging around with me. Because y'all know the doll is a baddie. But I've always been this way. But I loved the fact that she got so inspired. What I didn't love is the red flags, the flakiness. Long story short, me and Andrew, we stopped dealing with each other. Sexually, I think we did. I would have liked to. I told him that we weren't going to have sex anymore because it was getting complicated. The personal was mixing into business. And I like to keep business first and foremost, if that's what we're doing. And so I said, we can't do this anymore. I didn't like the way Andrew treated me. I didn't like the way he spoke to me. He had great potential, and I wanted to love him. But he was causing me pain. The way he spoke to me. The way he had no problem yelling and cussing at me. I didn't like that. I don't deserve to be treated that way. So, fast forward. I had a client that I found out of town who had a piece of land, and she wanted us to come and build on her land, and she wanted us to, do the thing that we do, our business model. She's out of town. She's about 2 hours away. And Natasha had been wanting us to do a little partner getaway for a while and have some fun. So I said, okay, I got this client. She's out of town. She lives on the West Coast. It's close to water. Do you guys want to go see the property ourselves and make it a little trip? Or do you guys want to just create the proposal like we always do? I go on the property appraisals website. We get the information from there. I do a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis, so that we can get an idea of a good price point for the property. And then we create the proposal off that, which is why it's just a proposal, because it's just based off preliminary public information in a CMA. I framed the question that way because I am really good with keeping appointments and commitments. Natasha and Andrew are flaky. Natasha by now has started standing me up. If we have plans to go somewhere and she's like, okay, I'll come pick you up, I'm going to plan and make my plans accordingly. Sometimes Natasha would be a no call, no show. Sometimes she would cancel at the very last minute, to where even if I go by myself, I'm going to be late or I might miss it. And I don't do late. And I don't miss or cancel things. We were supposed to have weekly meetings every Thursday at 9:30. That was Andrew. I got so tired of them canceling weekly team meetings because these are important for business. It was always Andrew and his schedule, his 9 to 5, we would have to work around. And so I got tired. And then I got tired of initiating them. And then it was just like, okay, well, we need to start having them again. So I would say, okay, what's the best schedule for you guys? I'm flexible. I'll work around you guys. But it's you guys who have all the other priorities and commitments. I'll schedule you guys, my clients, because I'm still doing Beyond the Veil. I'm still doing services for you guys and juggling them, but I never miss a commitment. I was scheduling you guys around them.